Well, welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Hey.
That's Mark.
Yeah.
If you needed a crash course, Mark's the other host.
Thank you.
Of Lorehammer. The better host.
Yeah, look how good I am.
The prettier host.
Yeah.
You got a face for radio.
I'm getting mixed signals.
I don't know what to feel.
I like to keep him on his toes, you know? Joining us today is James.
Hello.
Welcome back. It's
Yeah.
been a minute, actually, since you've been on.
Yeah, I know. I got to the point where I thought I was a co-host for a while there, but now
You're expecting that paycheck to start coming.
Well,
You've been doing so much for us.
I don't know what to do with that. That sounds like sarcasm. I don't like it.
I truly was.
I'm just gonna cry a little bit, and you guys can go on with the show.
Also joining us today, though, is Josh.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing okay?
Brother of James.
Yes.
We all are, though. Really,
Yeah.
we're all brothers.
And player of the Death Korps of Krieg.
Yes.
So that's a pretty appropriate
Out of
thing
all
to play
the people,
today.
I'm like, who we can have on this episode? I couldn't even figure. Then we got him. I haven't played your Death Korps ever.
You've never played it? Yeah. Well, I've only played it a few times. I struggle with painting, so there's a struggle.
There's a lot of effort put into each individual model.
Well, I enjoy doing the bases a lot. So
Oh yeah, the bases are always so good.
Your stuff is very like thematic and cinematic.
yeah. Well, what I do is I try to think up like what the guy's doing in the base. So like one of them, he's got the grenade launcher and he's kind of walking over like a broken wall and it just looks cool.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah, all your bases are always so crazy looking.
Well, thank you.
Yes, they're almost like mini.
Dioramas.
Dioramas, exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're nice.
That's kind of what I was trying to go for. Just that's the part I find fun.
Yeah.
Painting the models is tedious and painful, so I just
Agreed, but at least you do it.
wow.
Do I?
Well, today's episode is all about the Death Korps
Yeah.
of Krieg. But before we actually get into the episode itself, we're just going to talk about a couple things. Mainly being, if you didn't know, we have a lot of ways for you to interact with us outside of the podcast itself, such as our Patreon,
Heard of that?
where you can support us financially, give us your money, you know.
Yeah.
No, I say you can give us your money. It wasn't a
Sure.
threat. Or was it?
He has his finger on the exterminatus button right now. Don't do it! Don't do it!
Best meme I've seen in a long time is a gender reveal meme, and it's like exterminatus going to a planet and be like, it's a boy! I enjoyed that one.
Oh, that's good.
We also have Redbubble, so you can actually buy merchandise
Sure.
with our logo on it.
Yeah, you can try to navigate that shitty site. We need to do. I got so many messages the last couple of days about people like, how do I get
It's
your
rough.
merchandise?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm changing. Fuck Redbubble. Okay,
guys
up
Okay.
next, go check out Facebook, go check out Instagram. You guys know all that. The big thing, we're going Spotify exclusive on October 21st. So there's a couple more weeks for you guys to go to Spotify, download the free app, subscribe. It's super easy, super nice. Plus you get all the music. 10 out of 10. So make sure you do that, go subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Follow us on there October 21st. That's when we're changing over. You won't be able to find us on any other place except for Spotify. So please join us with that because it's super exciting that it's happening for us. So yeah.
Cool.
Spotify.
That's their jingle.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the new one.
Hey, is that all the housekeeping?
Well, I
I'm ready to
guess
talk
so.
about Death Korps, I think, because I'm super excited for that.
All right. Well, in that case, let's.
It's pronounced corpse.
Is
There's an S
it?
there. Yeah.
I don't know if that's for real or not.
It's not.
Okay.
That was funny. Like,
Okay, so let's get into our episode. Today we're doing an episode on Death Korps of Krieg, which is an Imperial Guard regiment. So the Imperium of Man boasts many armies, from the mighty Astartes to the righteous Sisters of Battle to the humble Imperial Guard regiments, and many more other types of armies. The Imperial Guard regiments is a term used to describe a guard regiment from a specific planet. So the Cadian Guard come from the Cadian system. The Armageddon Steel Legion come from Armageddon. So the Death Korps of Krieg, they come from any takers?
The Death Krieg.
Yep.
Checks out. Checks out. It follows the pattern that you established. Yeah.
These guard regiments can vary in combat doctrine, ideology, war gear, availability of resources, or even how the rest of the Imperium perceives them. Guard regiments are so varied. There can be infinite amount. Like, there's some crazy ones where they're just like feral guard regiments on a planet that like are all tattooed up and like crazy feral guys with las guns. It's wild. And then you got some more standard ones. But today we're going to talk about one of the most 40k grimdark badass regiments, which we think is the Death Korps of Krieg.
Yeah, definitely. They seem to tick a lot of boxes in the grimdark criteria.
Yeah, they got great aesthetic. They got like a crazy backstory, crazy mentality.
Yeah.
They're over the top.
Over the top, that's one of the boxes.
That over the top is one of the boxes.
Checks out.
So let's start with the planet of Krieg itself. So
I always forget these things.
Krieg is found in the Segmentum Tempestus and is south and west of Terra in the Uhulis sector.
Oh.
So mention of its system is actually surprisingly absent from Imperial records. Even, like, it's odd considering its uniqueness and, like, well-known, like, what's that called when something's really well-known?
Renown?
Yes!
Oh,
Considering its renown in the Imperium.
You owe
like,
me a Coke?
you didn't jinx them.
Jinx on! I still did it.
Yeah, considering its renown, it's surprising that we don't know the star system of the planet of
Well, they don't want anyone to find it. That's
because they're
fan theory.
worried about invasions.
Well, they don't want anyone
On
to
a
take
death
away
world?
there. They don't want it to take anyone to take it away because it's so valuable.
so precious.
It's the
Keep it
jewel of
secret?
the Imperium.
Keep it safe. Secret is safe? Safe? I don't know. There's something in there.
Wouldn't it be because of the history of how it broke off from?
Yeah, I think so.
Imperium?
Like, for the one thing I really learned about this episode is how relevant or how new the Death Korps actually are. Like, they're only like been around for like 50 years or something in their like current kind of like rendition. So we'll get into it here a little more. But at one point, Krieg was a prosperous hive world and specialized in manufacturing and trade. With billions of inhabitants. Without other information to illuminate us, we could assume that life on this planet prior to its baptism of fire was not particularly bad or arduous.
Yeah, it just really seemed like any other hive
another,
worlds.
Yeah, fairly
Yeah.
standard place.
Yeah.
But it had a reputation for building really well put together stuff and like a lot. It comes in later, but they built like their own orbital stations and defense platforms around their planet, and apparently it was very like well done.
Oh,
It's the Japan of the Imperium.
really?
Huh.
Not what I would go with. But
James complaints at
I
gmail.com.
said that to him.
It's a compliment. They make good cars.
Good cars.
So Krieg, prior to what we know it currently, was led by a council of autocrats that, over time, became increasingly paranoid of outside influences upon their own planet. Their attempts to consolidate power and solidify their falsely assumed autonomy ultimately led to their renunciation of the Emperor's authority, and even more alarming, his divinity.
That is heresy of the highest order.
Of the highest order.
Of the highest order.
Yeah, they straight up were like, you know what? No one's allowed to touch Krieg but Krieg. And they left. They left a hole in my heart.
Okay, here's a real question. Was it called Krieg before
Yeah.
That seems an
Yeah.
odd thing to name your planet.
War?
Like, yeah.
Well, all they did, I think, was built things for war.
Well, wouldn't you call it like, I don't know, the manufactory, or like the production place, or the factory? That makes like a more sane name for
I
a
don't
planet.
I don't have a good reason about naming conventions in 40K. But I'm gonna tell you right now, don't look into it, because you're not gonna be happy no matter what you find.
All right.
Primaris.
It means first. Because
But
they
they're
came
not
second.
the first.
So
It's the first in our hearts.
Well, they are now.
yeah. So they don't like the Emperor anymore. So this actually ended up creating a civil war on the planet. So in M40-433, the High Autocrat named Purge from Imperial records, as is tradition, declared Krieg a planet independent from the Imperium, with himself as the ruler. Normally, a declaration of independence is comparable to a suicide note, but because of Krieg's manufactorum abilities, they were well suited to defend themselves from off-planet assaults.
Yeah, so this is going back to the fact that they had built such crazy like orbital defense, and they had like really good things in system. They were pretty much safe from any of the fleets that were in the sector.
Yeah.
I thought it was also because they were really far away. Am I wrong on that? Or?
They're not that far away. Actually,
No?
they're pretty close to Terra when it comes on the galactic.
But I think they're out of
Map.
like things that are west of the Sol are fairly.
Yeah. It's not really west, though. Like,
Well,
it's right here, so it's south and west.
We're just looking
More
at a
south.
map for people.
Yeah,
who
but
wanna-
more
still things that are to the west.
It's not the obscurus system.
But things tend to
Segmentum.
be more out of the way. The further you are away from the Ultima segmentum, is the further you are from the holy light of the Emperor.
What? No.
Yeah, that's just
Ultima
the way it works.
Segmentum is
Yeah, it's over there in the east.
no, isn't on the east the Ultima, and the middle is
Yeah.
where Soul is.
Yeah, I know, but
This is.
I'm talking about the way they write the stories.
Oh,
And you're far away from your mic. No one knows what you're saying.
that's okay. I'm not saying anything.
I'm just
important.
arguing with air at this point.
Yes.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying the way they tend to the way they tend to do things is, it seems like a lot of things happen near.
There's
Near
enough
Ultima.
things in the airspace around where Krieg is to rationalize, like, there would have been big fleets. It's just that Krieg's defenses were so good, nothing could get through.
Ooh.
We'll just have to agree to disagree.
Okay.
It's up for debate.
Guard regiments quickly took control of the planet.
Heretical guard regiments.
Yeah. Its orbital defense stations, until there was only one bastion left. Hive Ferrograd.
Grad.
Ferrograd?
Yeah. So one of the last messages that the Imperium was able to get through to the planet, to the loyalists, was that the planet must not fall. And Colonel Yurtin, I'm assuming is how you say his name,
Sure.
of the Krieg 83rd Imperial Guard Regiment, was in command of High Ferrograd, and so he knew that no help was coming. Like, nothing was punching. There was nothing close enough to punch through the systems, or the defenses of the planet. So
Yeah.
he knew he's alone. So he's facing impossible odds to hold an even more impossible order, that Krieg doesn't fall.
Yeah.
Yurtin declared that if the Emperor couldn't have Krieg, then no one would. Classic.
He's a reasonable man by the sounds of it.
It makes sense. That's Imperium logic. Checks out.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
It's not good for me. Burn it.
Just level the planet.
So on the day of the feast of the Emperor's Ascension, Colonel Yurtin unleashed an arsenal of atomic bombs to cleanse the planet in what would later be known as the Purge. The entire planet was awash in nuclear fire, destroying its entire ecosystem and collapsing its economy completely. This fire raged for days, eventually placing the planet in a perpetual nuclear winter. Krieg had become a death world. Just fucking nuked his own planet.
He's in High Ferrograd, and he's like, "May the Emperor have mercy on us all." Just hits the big red button.
Oh my goodness.
He exterminated himself.
Well, Well, didn't all the other guys come in and they're like, "Hey, we won." And they come into the base and there's no one there, and then the guy nukes them. We're like, "Dang it."
Yeah. So he would have been hiding, right? Because there were still survivors. He did nuke the entire planet, but obviously there's still some small amount of time from when nukes are launched to when it hits. So the survivors had escaped to underground bunkers, and apparently some even live like deep in the chem wastes of the planet itself.
Oh.
So I'm assuming that means on the planet's surface,
Yeah.
which is like that
a
seems
good-
like not a great place to try and survive.
Some people
Give it a
like
shot,
winter.
see how it
yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Send up that one guy over there. We don't like him very much. If he dies,
Right.
Then we'll send another guy up there. Yeah.
A couple boils, some like open sores that never heal. If you guys can't handle that, then you just don't. You're just not tough enough for the Krieg.
You know what? That's fair. I am not tough enough for Krieg.
Few people are.
So after this becomes this chemical waste or this radioactive wasteland, there's still bastions of heretics.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
all throughout the planet. So inch by grueling inch, the Krieg 83rd Imperial Guard Regiment crawled its way across the planet, retaking it for the Emperor and destroying those that had chosen to deny him.
But it's like it's not quick. Like when you say slowly, it's like very slowly.
Slowly,
Yeah, like the reclamation of the planet took them 500 years.
Yeah, it's
inch by inch by inch.
yeah. Like I know a lot of the descriptions are like they're just like feeding people into the meat grinder constantly for 500 years.
Yeah.
They're just like, yep, checks out, go,
Yeah.
and they just die instantly, and then they keep sending
in
more.
grueling trench warfare in a nuclear winter. It's perfect.
Delicious.
It's delightful.
So they would fight on a world that they had destroyed, purging it of the heretics after 500 years that had caused a civil war. The majority of the population now lives underground, and the only true safe haven from the nuclear fallout that will never leave the planet's surface. Yeah. So everyone's fucked except underground in these crazy bunkers that they have.
Yeah, the only place you can live reliably is underground on Krieg.
Yeah. So after 500 years, this was now when the true Death Korps of Krieg kind of happened. So finally in the year 949 M40, Krieg Command sent a message to the Administratum that their world was once again clean of heretical infestation and that they're ready to re-enter the Imperium fold. The response back was terse, demanding restitution for 500 years of missed imperial ties.
But I also like that because what I remember they didn't have records of it, so like what the hell is this place? I don't know what it is. I'll just assume that they're late.
500 years of like missed communication with them or whatever, right? Like
and so
people, it's gonna pop back up and people are gonna be like, what? Like
what is this place? Well, I might as well demand some stuff from them. But they had no idea. They don't like who are these people? I don't know where this is from.
Yeah, so they ordered Krieg as like, hey, look, you missed 500 years. Here's your punishment. So you have to send us a full guard regiment to make up for these missed tithes.
Perfect.
So Krieg sends 20 fully trained and armed regiments, and they demanded to be sent to the most dangerous war zones possible.
And then when they get there, it's like, oh, this is nothing. We've been fighting, we've been fighting and literally getting cancer with every step. This is lovely.
What's a Tyranid bug? You know, like that's nothing. So the Death Korps of Krieg was born out of this 500-year civil war that absolutely tore the planet apart, and it completely like molded and shaped the culture that now they're all steeped in.
Yeah. Before they were probably just like they had their own regiment on Krieg, and it wasn't called the Death Korps. And before
No, it was just the 83rd Krieg Regiment. You know?
And all the other regiments of Krieg or whatever. But yeah, they were probably very standard. But when they came out of this, now they're trained in trench warfare. They're trained on how to use a variety of weapons, and Yeah,
Shovels mainly.
shovels. Yeah, their whole mentality has changed too. They're these grim, like just fanatic soldiers now, and you can see that by the like, oh yeah, you want one? Here's 20. Where's the most dangerous place?
Send us.
Yeah, they're ready. So let's talk about the recruitment and training. So this probably all kind of happened during that 500 years slowly.
Yeah, this is where they
time,
built up their process
Yeah.
and they tried to figure out what worked. And
Yeah, and like it's crazy. Once again, like so 949 M40 is when they sent that message back to the Imperium, ready to re-enter the fold. So like it's crazy how new they are to the whole kind of setting. So let's talk about their recruitment and their training.
So at some point, following the Krieg Civil War, the High Lords of Terra placed a truly onerous tithe upon the planet. So instead of supplying the Imperium with manufactured goods like they used to, they are now forced to give up the most precious of resources, bodies.
Ooh, nice.
Over 50...
Those aren't precious to
Yeah, I was
Krieg,
gonna
though.
say like this,
Yeah.
this is the least precious thing that they have.
Like, oh, okay.
Oh, you just want people.
That's exactly what we wanted to give
Making
you.
those guys for like 500 years and just killing them. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
So over 50 million soldiers every year are gifted to the Emperor's armies to die in his name.
That's nice.
That's so
It's-
ridiculous.
It's a lot of people just to like give up every year. Never mind training that they all had to go through where people died, and never mind that you have to keep people on the planet itself. Just
Oh yeah, they got people. They got people for days.
yeah.
For sure.
Well, even their training is brutal. Like the amount of people that just die in training is nasty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Excessively high.
Again, people are precious on Krieg.
So because of this insanely high tithe requirement from a planet ravaged by a nuclear winter, Vitae wombs are used in order to keep up the population demands of the planet. So while the Mechanicus views this practice as abhorrent, it is tolerated by the Departamento Munitorum, specifically in this case. So along with this artificial birthing process, the Magos Biologos on Krieg continue to practice a harsh eugenics program that began during the 500-year-long Civil War, and this ensures that mutations are kept to a minimum so that the child born has the best chances of surviving their training regimen.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure so many people on this planet were born just with crazy deformities.
Well, it's
like-
just constantly ravaged by radiation.
yeah. So yeah, you got to weed out some of those people for sure.
Yeah.
Vitae womb, so they're pretty crazy. So they are a little understood technology, and Krieg is the only planet with authorization to mass use them. While there's a lack of information about them, we can infer that the process differs from the more well-known but inherently faulty cloning process. So it's not like, it seems like they're actually growing people, like they're putting an egg and a sperm in a vat and growing it like that. They're not cloning people, which is like what the Afro strain or replica are. And they always have bad luck. Any clones in 40K kind of have this
Yeah,
bad
they never
bad luck.
truly work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where Krieg, it works.
Yeah, and you might assume that this whole fatalistic viewpoint of them might just come from their bad luck, but it's not. Like they could have normal lives.
Yeah.
You know, they just are born on Kriegs, so
So they don't.
so they don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the Vitae process, you assume that a fertilized egg is placed in an external womb until it's carried to term and then birthed into the mechanical arms of the Magos servants. So this child knows no parents. They're only placed into care until ready to begin training as a soldier.
Yeah. Which a lot of the population clearly goes into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be done. You know.
as is Rust.
As is
Look at
tradition.
that baby.
Baby up there.
He's green. Why are all vats green? That's a question I'd like to have the answer to.
Well, yeah, I can't even bullshit my way reliably
Yeah, I
through
was
that.
thinking-
It's the
Trying to
kryptonite.
think of something too, but I was like,
Some way the light interacts with the fluids that are in the thing, and it's the least harsh on the baby's growing body. And I
It's
don't
not blue light because blue light damages the eyes.
know. Yeah. It's not red light because we're not evil.
No.
Of course.
So the training on Krieg begins early, almost from birth itself, as the need to live on such a harsh planet kills many of the weak. The minds of the population are not their own and have been broken down and rebuilt to better serve the planet's purpose of providing bodies for the Imperium. When their minds are being rebuilt, they are given an almost infallible faith in the divinity and the authority of the Emperor. This fervent dedication to his cause creates a noticeable distinction between them and other humans.
They're crazy fanatic, these guys.
Yeah, you're not turning these guys.
No. Yeah,
It ain't happening.
they must do some brainwashing too, like actual.
Oh yeah, no, like they truly break their minds down.
Yeah.
and
Sit them
then
in front of
rebuild
chairs
them
and just play Imperium propaganda for them
for years.
for years and
Yeah.
years. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's nice. It really makes you feel like you belong to something bigger and better. You know. It's nice.
They have a sense of community.
Exactly. That's the word.
important.
Yes.
Just feel loved. Real love right there.
A place for everybody in Krieg.
Because of the reality of death in every Kriegsman life. Yeah. Okay. They're given a numerical designation in addition to having a name to better help catalog death tallies. Yeah. They do have some examples too, and
Do they even get names? I thought they didn't get names. They just you're number 5.
When I was reading it, it just sounded like it was an add-on. But I mean, like, there's no way they call each other by those designations, right? So
I guess. Yeah.
like, you still have some way of calling, because those names are way too long to reliably. It's like 20 numbers,
yeah.
right? And then some.
Well, they have 50 million a year, so the
Yeah.
numbers are getting up there at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly. So,
but they drop off just as fast. You can just reuse
the number.
52's dead. You're 52 now.
Yeah. So, like, I kind of just assumed that they also had a name on top of it, even if it's just a nickname born out of this, like, numerical designation. Maybe, you know, like, you're called Fiver because there's a lot of 5s in your designation, right? So,
I guess that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. It also goes into saying how officers and stuff will usually be given names, but maybe some of the lower people won't have them, like actual names and not
Yeah.
just a
Maybe
number,
on your
but-
birth certificate it shows your number, but there's no way the guy next to you is calling you that number.
Yeah, for sure. Injuries and fatality rates increase at excessively high during training, and the climax of their harsh training ends with the maneuvering and fighting mock battles on a radiation scoured surface of a planet itself. Once its final test is complete, their final test. Oh, good. They're then sent off to the most dangerous battle zones the Imperium can find. Yeah, so they go. Their last test is they're sent to the surface to do some drills in this radiation place, and hopefully survive. It's really a great way to just
It's the final weed out of
Yeah,
the week.
yeah.
Like,
And still they have 50 million. So they probably started off with like 100 million.
it's probably pretty high.
we were kind of curious, like, what? So apparently on Earth, there's almost 8 billion people, and the birth of on Earth is like 140 million people a year are born. But if you like need to give 50 million soldiers every year, how many of them are dying in training? Like, let's say you have a 30% death rate during training, right? So that's like another
That's high. That's
10% is 5. So it's another 15 million. So you need 65 million just dedicated as soldiers, right? Like, you need a lot of people on the planet itself. So, like, I'm assuming these Vitae wombs are just constantly pumping things out.
Yeah.
Like, it never stops.
I wonder if they have like sperm bank donations on Krieg.
Before every soldier leaves, he has to
Contribute to the next generation.
if you're a male, you have to freeze your sperm, and if you're a female, they just like remove an ovary and harvest the eggs, and that's my guess. I
Easy
don't know.
peasy.
There's a really cool sci-fi story I read a long time ago that does like their version of a Vitae womb in not nearly so grimdark a scenario. But yeah, they would just like harvest people's.
Oof.
Some of the
Hearts.
harvesting is better than other kinds of harvesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Like removing an ovary, I feel is less pleasant than the male way of removing it.
Yes. So because of all this intense training that they experience, the Kriegsman is a highly disciplined and self-sufficient soldier. They receive training with all basic guardsman weaponry types with a focus on hand-to-hand combat and a PhD in trench work.
Oh, they're good at that.
They have doctorates, yeah. They are experts in surviving in harsh and inhospitable environments, and their psychological conditioning leaves them with extremely high levels of mental and physical endurance.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, they are, I mean, they're literally just purpose-built weapons.
Yeah, for sure. Death Korps officers can be chosen from a number of ways. If a candidate is singled out during their training, they're placed into the Death Riders, an elite force that we'll talk about later on. Other ways are promotion through simple seniority, skill, or surviving. Just
Longer than your
you're
other
the
guys.
last guy in the squad. You're now the sergeant. Well,
Yeah.
well done, promotions all,
Yeah.
all around.
But at the same time, you don't really want to survive. That's not your goal as a Kriegsman.
Yeah, that almost makes you a bad Krieg.
Yeah.
You didn't give your life for the Emperor.
No.
You
You
son
need
of
to
a bitch.
survive, and all the enemy needs to die. Because if there's enemy left alive, you're not done. So they gotta go and survive.
Right. So you have to be successful
That's
and
right.
be the last one alive. But there's a
You
little.
want to kill the enemies, then die from radiation poisoning.
that's the ideal.
That's the ideal.
Slowly die.
Slowly
once
die.
you've.
Well, so you can kill more enemies.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
One
Checks
one
out.
way that Kriegsmen officers differ from most regiments is their insistence upon fighting alongside those they command.
Yeah, and apparently, like the difference in, like just cloaks and clothing and armor that they wear, it's like not that crazy. So sometimes it can be hard to see which one is actually like the superior officer versus just their regular guy, because he's right in there with you digging trenches and smashing people with shovels. So
Yeah, when they first came out, they didn't have any distinction between them, but the Department Minitorum, which is like the Imperial Guard regiment, they demanded, well, you need to have something because we like to be able to tell.
there needs to be that obvious chain of authority, right? So
Yeah.
they were forced to change.
Otherwise,
some of their dress.
like their leaders are just like the common people there. Yeah, like just
it
right
makes no
beside 'em.
difference to them. Like
Yeah.
True communism. It's beautiful.
Okay, perfect.
So on Krieg, the individual does not matter. They are a single pebble in the avalanche which crushes the enemies of the Emperor. And while a pebble cannot halt the advance of an invading army on its own, a mountain of pebbles with faith in the God Emperor can become a wall that breaks the most terrifying of charges. Their lives are not their own to live. They are given life so they may give it back to the Emperor. Medals and awards are not given to Kriegsmen because bravery and heroism is expected of all.
That's so good.
Yeah. They don't care for any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, isn't like the model of one of the commanders in Krieg have medals on him?
It might be a commissar, maybe, that you're thinking of.
Yeah, maybe a commissar.
Yeah, which technically aren't from the planet though.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, like commissars.
Well, they
are
don't
not-
have to be.
They don't have to be, but
Yeah.
commissars.
They
are
go to a different
technically,
school.
Yeah, not a part of the regiment. They're their own thing.
They go to the
They do
School of
have some,
Progenum. And,
like
yeah, like that right.
Kriegsmen.
That guy right there looks like
Commissars.
he's a commissar. This guy
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
and there's no way they wouldn't train with the Kriegsmen
Yeah.
and like be familiar with them, but they might come from Krieg and they might not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
okay, interesting. Interesting.
Commissars are not. They're attached to guard regiments. They're not a part of them. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Well,
commissar's job on a Krieg division would be incredibly boring.
We
Yeah.
yeah. I think we talk. We go
Yeah,
into
we
it.
talk about
Okay,
it a little
yeah.
bit.
What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just saying, like, I remember learning a little bit about it, and like a lot of the commissars, they if they're not from Krieg, they're not fanatical enough, so they won't die for their guys. And the Kriegsmen are like, you guys are pansies and just
Yeah, the
Go and do their own
commissars are
thing.
the weakest part.
They're the weak link.
Wait, I have to kill myself? I'm the one not running at the enemy?
Even firearms accuracy, while not desirable, is not as important as...
It is desirable.
While desirable, but a disciplined soldier who stays steady in the line and continues to fire as part of their formation under deadly conditions. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
So all of this lends to a particularly fatalist outlook on life. To their officers, Death Korps soldiers are as expendable as the ammunition that they fire out of their gun. And the soldiers just accept that as truth. And I don't know, I kind of boiled it down to like one sentence. This is not something that like is canon, so it's just me. So the truth, I think, is that they only have value so long as they're fighting and dying for the Emperor's glory.
Yeah.
If they can't do those things, they have nothing.
Yeah. Kriegsmen don't fit in well with other guard regiments either. Their charges and stands are often seen as foolish and suicidal when tactical retreats might be better to serve the battle, like to, actually win it or whatever. Another complication arises when Death Korps officers are placed in charge of non-Krieg soldiers, as the officers will wield this weapon the same way as any other, expendable.
Yeah,
and that doesn't go well with...
Too many death rates
Yeah.
in like what other regiments would consider like, whoa, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
The Kriegs is just like, I don't know, we're just doing our job.
doing a job here. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a lot of issues when Krieg's regiments are forced to mingle with other regiments. So Kriegs, they just insist that they just don't remove their face masks, which is just psychologically, if you're fighting alongside a guy, and then when you go sleep in your barracks, he's just in his desk, his mask. He wakes up and he's in his mask. He eats and for some reason he's in his mask, right? Like they just, it's hard to kind of build some sense of camaraderie.
Feed the food down the tube,
Yeah.
squeeze it in.
He just crushes it in his hand and puts it in the tube.
Well, yeah, I was thinking you just take out the tube, just
Drink it.
through a straw. Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to build like a sense of camaraderie when you're just met with a wall of masks.
Yeah.
And like you don't believe what they believe, so you have no value to them, you know? So
And I'm sure none of them have like humor, where like a lot of other regiments like will have like, that humorous guy to make light work of a bleak time or whatever. But these
Sure.
guys, they're all just standing there like
they're like, we literally cannot wait to go fight again.
and die.
Yeah.
We literally were born to die, and we want to do it.
Yes. Please let me die. So all of this put together has lent the ecclesiarchy to coin the entire culture of Krieg as a cult of sacrifice, birthed only to die, living only to kill.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's not a nice time to be on.
Clearly,
Krieg.
you've just not been indoctrinated enough. I
You
think
need to
you
watch
need to...
more propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So let's talk about how they work during war, their battle doctrine. The Death Korps of Krieg exemplify what it is to be siege warfare and trench warfare experts. The majority of their tactics go as follows. Step 1 involves bombarding enemy positions with so much ordnance that only the most heavily fortified positions can survive. Step 2, if they somehow survive Step 1, gather as many men as possible, ready those bayonets and lasguns, and charge headfirst into the enemy.
They don't use bayonets. It's all shovels.
It's all shovel.
Charge in and just like stab people with the shovel.
They like the shovels for sure. Now, of course, this is oversimplified battle doctrine. There's a little more to it than just launching tons of ordnance and charging, but that's pretty much what it boils down to every time. The Krieg mindset for how they deal with war is any battle in which their capacity to wage war and willingness to die exceeds that of the enemy is considered a battle already won. Everything else is just a matter of time and attrition.
Yeah.
So as long
if
as
we're
they
willing to like throw more bodies at them than they are at us, we've won. We
Yeah.
just need the bodies.
yeah, which they always seem to have. So
Yeah. And they're always willing to throw more bodies.
yeah,
so,
exactly.
yeah.
Under sustained artillery bombardments, Kriegsmen will advance in dispersed formations before closing ranks to unleash disciplined volleys of las fire, and before finally equipping equipping shovels and charging headlong into glorious melee. So it's kind of cool though. Like yeah, they are really well trained. Even though they're charging, they start out like very spread out, and then once they get closer, they form up and
Yeah, even though what they're doing is absolutely suicidal.
Yeah.
They've trained for years on how to do this as a unit,
Yeah.
you know? So it's the whole pebble on the mountain. Like they know that, look, we're all charging together. I'm going to die, right? But I'm setting, like the guy behind me is going to get that much closer because I took
Yeah.
a bullet. And then the guy behind him is going to get that much closer because he took a bullet.
yeah.
Right? So at some point, they're going to reach their target and they're just going to swarm you.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know about the spread out and then come back in together. That's
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah, as they're like crossing no man's land or whatever, they're trying to be as loose as possible before forming back up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the Death Korps also make use of 3 unique elements when engaging in war. So combat engineers is the first one. So specialized combat engineers will assist in quite literally undermining enemy positions through the use of subterranean warfare. Hades breaching drills, which are just big vehicles.
Yeah, like think like it's a giant drill
Yeah.
that on the back side of it has like a conveyor belt. We'll talk more about it. So as it drills through, it just shovels the dirt back and digs giant tunnels.
Yeah, so they're used to burrow great holes under fortified positions, bursting out from underneath the ground to unleash its payload of fanatic Kriegsmen into enemy ranks.
That's nice. The standard war gear for a combat engineer is a semi-automatic shotgun, perfect for clearing tightly, densely packed spaces. Frag and crack grenades. We talk more about in their standard kit that they all get like 1 frag and 1 crack grenade, something like that.
And they're given more for some reason before a battle starts. And,
Yeah. As well as melta-bombs, other demolition charges, and small gas canisters containing lethal acidic gas, which is pretty cool. While considered a weapon of last resort, this gas, a highly corrosive gas released by these grenades, have ensured victory and given Krieg regiments their sinister reputation. So yeah, if they feel like if one of them got fatally wounded, he'll pull his gas canister and throw it or drop it beside him or whatever, and just do one last kind of fuck that guy.
Does it kill themselves?
Well, they have gas masks on. And
Well, yeah, they're supposed to be fully sealed.
yeah. So it's kind of like it doesn't
Like they're
affect
still
them.
dying.
Yeah.
It's because I'm already dying, but I'll drop this.
Yeah. It's their last ditch resort.
Why wouldn't you just use it all the time? If
Maybe
it
their
can't
suits
harm
aren't.
yourself.
Maybe their suits aren't. Their suits can't be 100%. And acidic gas, maybe it's not. Maybe it wears out the mechanics in the rebreather, melts it.
Sure.
That's
Like I see it. Like let's say if they're fighting alongside someone, and like they just use that gas because it's a weapon that they use, but they're fighting next to a Cadian who is not
yeah. You wouldn't want that.
environmentally sealed. This Cadian is probably gonna die.
Oh yeah.
Well, I assume the Kriegsmen would just think, well, I'm giving this guy the honor of dying for the Emperor.
Right, yeah, but the Cadian
This
does
is a
not think
gift.
that way, you know? Like that sinister
gift he doesn't
reputation, I
want.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Combat engineers also wear carapace armor, including a helmet, a breastplate modified to carry a powerful light source because they're digging around in tunnels all day long. Shoulder guards, abdomen plates, though knee pads are worn in place of the shin guards. So normally they got shin guards, but these guys wear knee pads instead.
So they're also issued and trained to use a wide variety of tunneling and engineering equipment, from simple tools like heavy-duty cutters, pickaxes, and folding shovels, to seismic augers and geothermic auspex gear, to trip mines, detonators, and mole launchers, wreaking havoc on anyone foolish enough to try to counter their assaults.
Yeah, it's fun. They got a bunch of different things. Their mole launchers are pretty wild. So it's a weapon that fires burrowing warhead capable of digging through obstacles, then detonates on the other side. So it's literally a missile that digs through.
Has
ground.
a drill on it.
Yeah, and then it's pretty cool. So their whole thing is like digging trench works, digging tunnels and stuff, and they got power picks, power shovels. It's nice. I really like the picture of them just digging through, and you can just feel the ground like vibrate. Like the enemy feels the ground vibrates, and then one of the breachers digs up through, and then you're just flooded by Kriegsmen, and it's nice. It's really nice.
Well, it's also pretty dangerous too, right? Because the enemies are trying to break down their tunnels, right?
As
So
soon
just
as
take
it
it
would be
down.
noticed, they're gonna try and collapse this tunnel.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter though. The Kriegsmen, it's not about being effective. It's about
Dying in a
dying.
tunnel.
Yeah. Maybe they're just doing that as a distraction while the rest of the guys pour over the fortifications.
Yeah. They're pretty cool. The other unique element that they have is Death Riders.
I love these. They're so impractical and so absurd, but they're amazing.
That's good. Where most Imperial Guard regiments across the galaxy will make use of two-legged mechs called Sentinels for scouting ahead through difficult and dangerous terrain or flanking operations, the Death Korps have opted to using genetically modified horses for a similar role. These horses are fucking crazy. So they're nearly hairless with a long neck and broad shoulders and girth. These horses' superior strength and splayed feet. Yeah, they got like two little toes on them.
Their
fucking
hoof
weird.
like fully split.
Yeah. Allow them to power through thick mud and leap trench lines easily, while numerous additional organs, including osmotic lungs, allow them to survive unscathed on even the most toxic battlefield. Also, they do wear gas masks as well, these horses, so that's also very nice. They've got subdermal organic armoring and fully integrated drug injection system with a combat stimulants and palliatives. Not only makes the Death Korps, the horses, fearless in battle, but far more aggressive than normal and virtually impossible to put down short of massive body damage trauma. So they're pretty wild. They got extra organs. They can breathe poison. They got these crazy feet. The one thing that really sticks out to me about them too is they don't have like hair. They're like this like pale flesh color. Like they don't have a mane. They don't have like the tail.
Well, they've even got like robotics in them too, don't they?
Yeah, some of them have like robotic legs and shit if they were wounded or whatever. Yeah, they're wild looking.
One of the crazy things I thought about these was, so they're constantly like they have this fully integrated drug injection system.
Yeah.
But they're pumped full of these drugs all the time that they have to, like, when they're not in battle and they're just like standing there, they have to pump more drugs in them to calm them down and like kind of keep them like docile until it's time to like put them back into battle. So like, oh shit, we made them too good. Let's just drug them more to give them some breathing room.
Give them drugs.
Yeah.
So mounted on the back of these noble steeds sits a Kriegsman equipped with the standard war gear of the regiment, but they're also given a specialized hunting lance, a long spear with an explosive tipped point, which they use to perform devastating charges into enemy ranks.
So apparently this is a hollow spear. And I don't know what that means other than just making it lighter, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it was specifically mentioned that it's hollow.
Good to know.
Yeah, I don't...
Maybe they like so they can reload another explosive.
No,
into
they
the attempt.
because they do mention it's a one shot.
Yeah.
Like they use it and then they leave it and draw their sword.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's literally an exploding spear.
Yeah.
It is cool though. They talk about how like the spear is designed to explode forward, so like they puncture through and then it shoots grenades forwards. Essentially, they're very cool. Yeah.
Lauren, even for the Krieg though, they're expected to die even more than usual Kriegsmen. Like these guys are.
Yes.
Kriegsmen are designed to die, but these guys are like, you are going to die.
Yeah. You don't survive long in the Death Riders for sure.
It's in the name.
Well, if you do, then you become an officer. You know?
Sergeant Death Rider.
That's a name.
Oh my
Is that a
God.
superhero name? I don't know.
So
Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I was gonna say when Death Rider meets Ghost Rider.
Oh my God.
So Krieg Death Riders provide fast-moving troops to exploit the breakthroughs made by infantry attacks or operate on the flanks of offensives. They are also held back as mobile reserves during battle to either counter-attack or press a breakthrough themselves. So yeah, they're kind of used for crazy charges or counter charges, seeing that like little hole in the enemy line and just busting through there.
Yeah, and that's like it's really important who they pick to actually recruit these guys because of this need for kind of some independent thought.
Yeah, you got to be aware of what's happening for sure.
So they're chosen, like their recruits are chosen specifically for the aptitude of independent thought and some initiative traits, which will serve them well as officers if they survive the Death Riders. So.
Yeah.
This is a slightly off topic, but I wonder if a Space Marine chapter would ever recruit from Death Korps or from like Krieg itself.
Well, there are some reasons why you wouldn't touch other things, right? Like the Krieg's already giving like a maximum tithe, so I'm assuming the administratum would say like, oh, you can take from so many planets, Space Marines, just Krieg you can't touch.
Sure, and that, I understand that, but I think it would be interesting, like even if it was like they're sending 50 million a year, maybe they could spare like a certain amount of that for a chapter. I don't know. That might be a cool chapter you could make. That would be like, it's exclusively hired from like survivors of certain Krieg battles or something.
You could build a planet essentially that is almost identical to Krieg, and then have that be where you recruit your Space Marines from.
That would be cool too. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But I think Krieg itself is exempt from everything else.
That might be true. Yeah, that would make sense. They give so
They
much.
give so much.
Well, but even if you took a soldier who did really well as a Kriegsman, would he be able to fight as a Space Marine? Because it's different tactics, right? It's different ways of fighting.
Because Space Marines take their recruits so young, they get them like what, 8, 6 even sometimes.
Yeah.
So they get them so young, but that just means that like they haven't gone through all their Krieg psycho conditioning and chemical whatever indoctrinations or propaganda stuff that they're doing. So it like a child taken from Krieg and a Krieg soldier that grew up on Krieg and went through everything, they're gonna have two very different.
Yeah. Plus, like when you enter a chapter, like your mind gets wiped essentially.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You don't remember the planet you're from, your parents.
Yeah. Okay.
You would have the physical hardiness and whatever genetics were in you, but you would lack a lot of the
culture.
Stuff. But if Krieg was like your planet to pull from, a lot of times Space Marines, like chapters that come from a specific planet, they carry on a lot of the traditions of that planet. So if you built a planet that was like Krieg and that was your sole recruiting one, you could incorporate a lot of that into the chapter's doctrines itself.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess the only question remains is, would the Space Marine still wear the gas mask over his helmet? Would the Krieg Space Marine still do that?
If they wouldn't modify the Space Marine helmet to be a gas mask, they just wouldn't wear a Space Marine helmet,
they
would just wear the gas mask.
Okay,
it's sealed, you know.
I like it.
Yeah.
So the third kind of unique battle doctrine of the Krieg is how they use their vehicles. It's very different than most regiments, most guard regiments. So tanks in the Death Korps are not fielded in mass, but partitioned out to support the infantry assault, with individual companies and squadrons attached to infantry platoons to provide physical cover and supporting fire as they cross no man's land. While others regard this as backwards and unsophisticated use of armor, Krieg commanders regard the high rate of loss of these vehicles with the same callous they've shown towards the human casualties. Yeah, so they basically
use a wall.
Yeah,
you know.
I just picture that scene in Fury where like they're fighting in the field and they're all lined up behind the tanks, and you know the tanks are driving forward. They're all
crouched and
yeah. So good. So they like to use their tanks literally as just moving walls, and when they blow up, that's now cover for you. They don't normally use the Chimera transport, instead preferring the Gorgon to transport 5 whole infantry squads or 50 men across no man's land when necessary. while command and grenadiers squads often use the Centaur, which is like a very small kind of transport. We'll talk a little bit more about it later. The Death Korps also like to make use of super heavy tanks such as the Malcador and Macarius and their variants to form the tip of the spear during assaults. So yeah, the way they use tanks is very different. Like they like to use them as walls, moving walls. All Krieg regiments exhibit traits of discipline, expertise in trench warfare, and a tolerance for both hazardous environments as well as high attrition rates. Yeah. What are you looking at over there, Eric?
I was looking at the Gorgon. I've never seen the model.
Oh, it's very
It's
cool.
new. It's newer.
Okay. Is it from Forge World?
Yeah.
Obviously
Yeah.
it would be.
It's
Everything
big
is
too.
in Forge World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it actually transport 50
Yeah.
people?
I haven't looked at it as far as rules, but
Yeah, it does.
pretty neat.
That's a lot of Kriegsmen.
The model's pretty cool. They sell like they sell 50 seated Kriegsmen that you can put into that vehicle.
Wow.
Oh, just imagine having to paint that. You just paint 50 sitting guys. Oh my goodness. But it's pretty cool looking.
It's all open too, so you can't just hide it.
Yeah, you can't hide it.
It's crazy. It's
It's a very cool
like
model.
the same length as a Stormblade.
Jeez.
It's a big boy.
Yeah.
But I like how different it is. Yeah, with that open top.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Looks kind of like a World War II, one of those
The
transports.
D-Day,
Yeah, D-Day.
The amphibian ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amphibian.
Amphibious.
Yeah. Just sounded funny. It's an amphibian.
Yeah, it breathes in both air and water. Yeah, I like their use of the tanks, and they're just saying like, you know what, like we need to cross this no man's land and there's no cover. Well, make cover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So all Krieg regiments exhibit traits of discipline, expertise in trench warfare, and tolerance of both hazardous environments and high attrition rates. But although these traits aren't always beneficial, sometimes an overly stubborn commander will be better to call off for a retreat instead of continuing to send squad after squad into the meat grinder. So, like, Kriegs are they're just willing to throw more bodies and more bodies because that's what they know.
Yeah.
Even though it might be better to not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The typical Krieg zeal for engaging and destroying the enemy at any cost can sometimes earn short-term victories at the expense of long-term strategic goals. And their unique outlook on life has been known to cause friction between themselves and other non-Krieg units. Yeah, like for example, commissars. They're non-Krieg, so normally commissars are sent into like squads to like drive the men forward and stuff and make sure that they're actually doing what they need to.
Yeah.
But commissars for Kriegs, they will usually kind of just act more as tactical advisors and be like, well, maybe you shouldn't be that,
Yeah, they rein
dare I say,
in.
crazy.
They rein in the Krieg officers and say like, "Hey, look, I know you just want to die, but it's way better for you to back out."
Yeah,
and do
remember the
something
larger
else."
strategic picture
Yeah.
here. Yeah, so they also provide liaison duties between regimental commanders where needed. But yeah, they act totally different. I don't think they've ever had to shoot a Kriegsman for not doing their job. So that's
Sorry, but like I was saying earlier, like they usually, the Kriegsmen usually fight their commissars because I want to go die.
yeah.
Let me go die.
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do as a commissar? That's it. Don't do that charge. You don't need to do it. And then the Kriegs are like, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, they're just like,
Oh, I'm gonna do it.
yeah.
the finger and run out
Well,
of
don't do it. I'll shoot you. And then the Kriegsmen like, good, yes.
Come at me, bro.
That'll only make my charge slower, and I'm more likely to die.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a fun station for a commissar. Do you want to be set with the Death Korps because your job's easy or harder? I don't know.
It's not what you trained for.
It's not what you trained for.
Yeah, like commissars are just a cool concept in general, but it's just so funny that they're turned on their head in this in its Krieg.
So let's talk about the organization. There's so much organization when you're talking about like Imperial Guard regiments.
Regiment,
Like you can break it down into companies have blah 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 and blah 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 and X and this and blah blah blah. We're gonna skip a lot of that and just kind of hit the key details. Death Korps siege regiments follow the same recognizable hierarchical pattern found throughout the Imperial Guard, being composed of companies, platoons, and squads, but is skewed towards having larger numbers of soldiers in each unit. We won't get too much into the logistics of all that, thanks to long and boring and rambly. That's not what we do. It's too much, I think. One unique position, though, that the Death Korps do have is called the Quartermaster, whose origins lie during the Atomic Civil War. So, waging a war where the recovery of material was the utmost importance, where battlefield triage was a luxury reserved for the more seriously wounded, and a Terran 1 environmental seal guaranteed a slow and lingering death. Oh, it's so bleak. Any soldier who could not be readily brought back to the fight was incapable of returning to medical station under their own power, or otherwise became a liability, would be given the honorable field execution known as the Emperor's Blessing. That's nice.
The Emperor's Peace.
The Emperor's Peace. The blessing of the Emperor's Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just hope that you could make it back on your own.
Pretty much, yeah.
No. It's okay. Don't. You don't need to kill me. I can still walk.
I can make it.
It's
Or
just
like
a flesh wound.
Yeah. I was about to say, yeah.
You've got no legs. Yes, I have.
Come back here. I'll bite your kneecaps off.
The job of performing these mercy killings and retrieving the fallen arms and equipment fell to that of the Quartermaster's cadre, and has remained ever so since. Chosen during training for their mental aptitude and faith, or having survived against the odds on the battlefield, potential quartermasters are given additional training in tech lore, field medicine, and indoctrination into the Imperial cult. So they're actually kind of smart, these people. Kinda, I guess. I'm just thinking how much field medicine they really have. Like they know how to inject morphine, and that's about it.
Would they need morphine? That's to numb pain.
I don't know.
I don't
They
think
know
the Krieg
how to
would.
use a pistol
Yeah.
and tell them to walk over there.
Yeah.
That's his
That's
field
extra
medicine.
training.
Yeah, that's the extra training.
Can you walk? No. All right. Here we go.
Tech lore is kind of cool too, because then when they're scouring the battlefield, they know like, oh, that gun's fucked, and then that one we could fix pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like they can pick out kind of which pieces of gear is still going to be useful. They also perform emergency battlefield medical services and the deliverance of last rites to injured guardsmen, as well as the salvaging and redistribution of weapons and equipment where they are assisted by servitors. They also assist in evaluating the progress of ongoing battles by monitoring ammunition expenditures, attrition rates, and other information, which is then relayed to their superior officers. Yeah, so they really know what's going on the battlefield.
Yeah, they've got their pulse, the finger on the pulse.
Yeah, for sure, of the dead Kriegsmen.
Yeah.
The lack of pulse.
There's
there.
no pulse, sir. That's my finger's on it, but there's no pulse.
Okay. Strip him down, take all his stuff.
Time to go.
That's a nice gas mask he's got there. Now he's wearing 2. It's perfect. Let's talk about their equipment. That's really all that was unique about like their organization.
Yeah, they have a lot of different names for their sergeants and stuff, but effectively,
yeah, like the sergeants they call them watchmasters,
yeah.
which is just it's cool,
but they fill the same role.
Yeah,
but the quartermaster is like they have duties that are unique to them.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, other than for that, like, they still have companies, platoons, squads, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's going to be like your tank masters and like people below them, and there's still
Corporals
going to be a
and colonels.
hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
So they might just have a slightly different name.
Yeah. So equipment. So let's start out with painting a picture in your mind. Now close your eyes with me. Okay, no one's closing. Okay. Oh. Okay.
I'm not closing my eyes in a room with you.
So pictures Germans from World War I. Trench coats, gas mask, and shovels. Now keep that image in your mind for the rest of this section as we're talking about all their war gear, because they're really based off of Germans from World War I.
So one of the most recognizable things about the Death Korps is their 3-piece respirator unit, and it allows them to operate in apparently any toxic environment.
Yeah.
So James is actually he did a lot of research on these respirators.
Yeah, like I have a couple respirators at home. I did some
You did some
experiments.
testing.
Yeah, like testing. Okay, so I put some uranium in my basement, and I'm like, okay, how effective is this at stopping the cancer? Apparently, it doesn't do a lot.
Good to know, though.
But like,
Thanks for testing that.
yeah,
for
I
us.
figured since the Kriegsmen wouldn't live long, the cancer probably won't be the problem. So
Right.
I mean, test successful as far as I was concerned. Next thing I did is I put some poisonous gas in my basement. A little, yeah. So my dog unfortunately passed. It was sad. My wife wasn't happy. She wasn't home at the time, but I
It's a good thing, or else
survived.
she would have passed too.
I survived. So
Your
that was
dog
nice.
should have had a osmotic lung
Yeah,
implant.
where was your gas
I
mask for the
completely
pup?
forgot. I completely
Like,
forgot.
that's on the dog, I think.
Well-
at that point.
I'm not
Blame is
victim
neither
blaming.
here nor there. But so I can go into something about like.
Why don't
about
you
their
talk about
official, yeah.
Krieg's
Yeah, I'll talk
respirators?
I'll talk about that as well. You know, so the first place, the first piece, is a regulator unit. It's carried inside a leather satchel buckled to his webbing, and is the most complex part of the system. A battery-powered fan draws air in, which is passed through the particle filters and air quality samplers, being pumped through an air pipe into the guardsman's gas mask. Yeah, so an exterior display panel provides information on the regulator's functionality and the toxicity of the surrounding air, while the use of a positive pressure breathing method means the constant flow of air will prevent toxic particles from exiting. So, like, it's a fairly standard gas
What is
mask.
positive pressure?
Positive pressure?
Yeah.
Pressure that is greater than the other side?
Okay.
I don't get it.
Well, like, okay, a negative pressure is a suction, like a vacuum, right? Positive pressure is a push.
So there's okay, so it's because they said that the constant flow of air prevents toxic particles from entering through any compromised sections. So let's say there's a rip in the gas
Yeah.
mask somewhere.
So there's, like,
but there's so much pressure
pushes
inside
it
of
out,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, that just air can't
Yeah, the
enter it
toxicity
because
wouldn't
it's
come
constantly
back
just.
through. Yeah, makes sense.
But would it have enough pressure if there's a tear in the gas mask? Because if there's a tear in the gas mask, there may there's two holes that just gotta keep the pressure.
I just think that like whatever
And-
battery power is
and
here must be
chemically.
so powerful that it just like if there's a tear in some like an airplane and pressure is like the cabin starts to destabilize, can't they just pump more in if they had sufficient power to like
And
stabilize the
enough
pressure?
oxygen as well.
Yeah, and enough air, right, to
Yeah.
work through it. So I think these are just so powerful that they're able to like withstand any like breaches. I don't know. I have no idea what positive pressure means and how it works in
I
sealing.
think it makes sense that like if the pressure is strong enough on one side of a system, then the flow would go one direction, right?
Yeah, but the pressure on whatever outside environment that you're interacting with is not going to be the same from planet to planet to planet, right?
Well,
Some
assume
might
you
be
could change it.
crazy. Well, that's why I'm saying this fan must be so powerful that it can contend with almost any atmospheric
okay, I see
pressure
what you're saying.
around it to make sure that it's still like a sealed system inside.
Checks out.
Yeah.
I think that's the way that makes sense in my brain.
Well, there would still have to be some sort of filter for it too, though. You can't just have.
Yeah, they
Positive
have
pressure.
particle filters and air
Okay.
quality samplers, apparently. There's a lot more. I think that's
Sorry, I
parts
got
of the
caught up
three.
on positive pressure.
Well, okay, so to continue on, there's a regulator also including an antidote chemicals to which they can be used to introduce into the system and allow like if anything does get in, they can filter it out and then protect the guardsmen from any negative effects. So
That's nice.
it can also clean water supply. It supplements soluble stimulants and nutrient tablets into the gas mask.
That's nice.
with a
It's time for your
separate pipe.
daily meal.
Nom, nom.
Yeah, like the thing is that here on Krieg, we provide a well-balanced diet that'll let you live for the next
Life
15
is
minutes.
good on Krieg.
So both air and water pipes are protected by an exterior hose that screws into the gas mask through a brass breather valve, which contains an additional filter and non-return valve. The gas mask itself consists of a bag, a screw attachment for the breather valve, and eyepieces made of double-layer toughened glass treated with anti-fogging compound.
Oh, anti-fogging.
That's right.
That's fancy all of a sudden.
That is fancy.
I don't like that they specify it's an anti-fog. Like, I've never once read Space Marine helmets and about how like there's an anti-fogging compound on it.
Yeah, every
That's
now and
we're
again.
better. Krieg are better.
Is
We
that
think
the
about these things.
They've
You're
had
literally living in it your entire life. You got it.
well, it would make difference. How do you like? You can't like wipe it out.
No, yeah.
Maybe they have little windshield wipers.
I like
That's
to picture that,
anti-fogging.
like trying to talk to a Kriegsman. He
It's
just
just like,
looks at you, and it's just like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the gas mask.
That's nice.
Complicated system.
Very complicated.
Yeah.
It's a gas mask. It's what it is.
Protects you from the gas.
Yeah, it's a gas. It's a mask.
Put them together. What do you got?
You got gas.
You got a
mask.
gas mask.
Yeah. It does what it's supposed to do.
So another thing that they wear is like a really heavy greatcoat. It's pretty distinctive as part of the Death Korps uniform. It's warm and waterproof, and it's made locally on Krieg of really
Buy local.
yeah, exactly. Support their own economy that they
Yeah.
destroyed with atomic bombs. So
Yeah, they don't want to like outsource all their construction to other countries. They care about their local workers.
that's right. So they can make more babies. Yeah. So it's made of thick cloth, and it comes in a variety of colors. It's double-breasted with brass buttons, and the greatcoat itself can provide limited protection, but is further reinforced against biological and chemical agents through a chemical impregnating process, which gives it a pungent smell.
Good thing they
So-
got those gas masks.
Yeah, but if you thought Krieg were like already weird because they refuse to take off your mask to talk
They
to you,
stink.
now they smell bad.
But they look nice, so like their uniforms always crisp and look at that. Oh,
Bleach.
I mean, it depends, right? If that's your aesthetic, go for it. I don't think they look as great as Acadian thinks they look. Who looks better, a Vestroyan
oof.
or a
that's-
Kriegsman? Right? It depends on who you ask. You ask a
yeah,
Vestroyan, they're going to tell you it's
The
them.
Australians do have nice hats, for sure.
Exactly.
It's all about the hat.
It is all about the hat.
Well, that's what Peter would tell us about the Eldar hats.
cone.
The bigger the Eldar cone, the more powerful
That's
a
where
person
they have
you
so
are.
much brain.
Yeah.
That's where it
big
has to go.
brain. So wow, I got lost there.
Leather webbing can carry straps and pouches, allows the Death Korps infantryman to carry additional gear, including maintenance kits, replacement filters, and antidote vials. So, yeah, they got
So this
some
webbing
pouches.
we've talked about a couple times. It's literally just straps that go around
Yeah,
their
yeah.
body.
Yeah.
It's not actual webbing.
No,
It's just like leather.
yeah.
Just have a spider on them, just constantly.
Yeah, just every Kriegsman when they begin their training is given a spider that they have to rear and care for, and then when the spider builds its webbing, because you built up that trust, then you have to kill it. Yeah, you have to name it. It like builds its webbing around you. All this trust. and love.
That's the final test.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Kill your spider.
It's your only friend, and now you must kill it.
It's nice.
Yeah.
A leather backpack buckles to the webbing shoulder straps, provides additional carrying capacity, including a bedroll, a waterproof shelter, a dry tin canister for storing perishables against the environment. So yeah, they got a couple extra things in their backpack for survivals.
It honestly just sounds like a standard issue equipment.
Yeah.
Like everyone in the galaxy that's fighting is going to need some of this stuff.
Yeah,
So.
for sure.
Another thing that is, I think, very unique to the Kriegsmen is that they're given a small entrenching tool, and it's issued to all Krieg guardsmen and worn on the belts, with larger mattocks and shovels provided as needed. Because they're masters at trench warfare, so they always have something with them where they can contribute to creating these trenches.
I think building trenches is probably the only enjoyment they actually get. Just digging holes, sure, suicidal charges are fun and all, but trench digging, ooh, that's where it's at.
There's nothing like a solid 22 back-breaking hours a day
Oh,
of trenches.
they
trench
love
building.
it.
for 10 straight years.
It's so relaxing. They just love it. They're
Get
so
to be alone with your thoughts, right?
yeah. You can't see their face, but you can tell they're smiling underneath that mask when they're digging trenches. They love it.
I know this probably isn't true, but I like to think that they have like digging like work songs. Like it's really weird. All of a sudden you just hear a bunch of Kriegsmen like singing as they're digging, and yeah.
But they're like super bleak songs.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like let
Digging
me
my
die,
grave,
let me
digging my
die.
grave.
Yeah, exactly.
They also got a very cool las gun too. So the standard issue Lucius pattern number 98 las gun as their primary weapon, operating at a higher charger range. Operating at a higher charger range than other las guns gives the weapons more punch, but drains the power pack after only about 25 uses. The results in a slower charge rate as well. I think normal las guns have like 100 shot las gun packs or whatever. So these guys, they amp them up so they get 25.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just like dial it up, right? Set phasers to lethal.
Oh, yes.
Not stun anymore. These aren't your grandma's flashlights. These are Krieg's flashlights.
Yeah.
Is that the regular guy or is that the?
That's regular guys.
Yeah.
Oh.
The regular one is just a more powerful gun. I mean, it depends. What do you think is better? 100 like regular shots or 25 slightly more powerful shots? Right.
Fair.
I don't know. Kriegsmen, it just feels like they don't need the shots as much because they want to try and just run up as fast as possible.
Yeah. In addition, he is issued a standard 1 number 38 frag grenade. That's oddly specific, although more will be provided prior to an attack, as well as crack grenades. So they all get 1, but during the charge, they get 2.
I always thought it was odd, like, here's your 1. Like, there's many like it, but this is yours. That's what it feels like when they're handing these.
Here's your spider, here's your frag grenade.
Yeah. Don't lose either. Yeah. But yeah, apparently they're just given more before a battle. So.
Yeah. Nice. Finally, his close combat weapon is a heavy bladed 45 centimeter long sword bayonet, which can be attached to his las gun bayonet lug. How long is 45 centimeters?
Well, 30 centimeters is a foot, so it's a foot and a half.
17 inches. Almost 18. That's pretty much exactly
Foot and a half.
Foot and a half. Good to know. That's a fun bayonet.
That's a pretty big bayonet.
That is.
That's like a Napoleonic era bayonet. Because I think like if you look at like a Russian SKS, its bayonet is I think like maybe 8 or 9 inches. That was a World War II firearm.
Well,
I
if you
think that
think
was
about
used
it
in World
though,
War I too.
if you're charging a Tyranid or something like that, you need to be able to dig deep.
You need to get in there.
That's fair.
Wiggle it
That is
around.
fair.
Yeah, exactly. Really just give it, you know? Don't hold back.
Oh no, not at all.
Officers, they'll often carry a las pistol and a saber, holdovers from their time as a Death Rider, most likely. While many will choose to carry other weapons as their personal preference. So some will take power fists and whatever other kind of cool plasma pistols or whatever if they're lucky enough. A breastplate will usually be worn over their trench coat, and they're often issued a small refractor shield generator, typically disguised as jewelry or decorations such as a gorget, for their own personal protection. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You can pick that out on some of the models.
So it's like a
It's a shield generator, little.
a little force shield.
Yeah.
And they design it as like medallions or something like that, because you were talking about that earlier, where the commissars look like they have medals and stuff like that when they don't give out medals.
Yeah. So for the commissars, it might have been
I don't know. I just asking.
Yeah, I wonder if I got pictures here. I don't know.
Something interesting about the Lucius las gun is that it actually has a really high overheating rate.
Oh.
Yeah, like it puts a lot of strain, like overcharging the shot puts a lot of strain on the gun. Yeah. So it's like way more common for these ones to just explode.
And kill the user.
That's right.
or at least maim them.
Yeah. You lose a couple of hands, that quartermaster's coming real quick. Yeah.
Nice. Their preferred special weapons are melta-guns, and they like heavy bolters for their heavy weapons. But Kriegsmen are trained in a variety of weapons. But
all basic guard weaponry they're familiar with.
yeah, but they definitely like their melta-guns and heavy bolters. Yeah. All right. That's kind of each guardsman's or each Kriegsman's kind of war gear. They got a lot of other kind of standard stuff like boots,
Sure.
shirts.
Let him finish.
Shovel?
Shovel, socks. Even they're allowed.
Apparently,
Gloves.
They have gloves.
apparently they have it's like whatever suit they wear is completely sealed environmentally.
Yeah, which is
Now,
crazy.
I have a hard time looking at that
Yeah, and seeing how that's-
picture and being like, yeah, completely sealed.
What if it was this picture?
Like,
Does
it
that
just-
change your-
Cloth is hard. And I know, like, they say they treat it and stuff, but, like, if you want flexibility...
Maybe that's just the like propaganda. They
You know
tell
what?
the
I'm
soldiers.
more than happy.
It's
I
completely
accept.
You guys are
sealed.
saying.
Yeah, this is a fully sealed. One of them has like straight up radiation poisoning all in their body, and they're
Well, they
like,
can't- they
"This
never-
must just be because you like lost
They never
faith
take
in
off
the
their
emperor."
clothes,
Yeah,
so
they don't even know.
They don't know they have radiation sores. My arm really hurts. Don't know why. He
Yeah,
hasn't taken off his shirt since he was 5.
yeah. Maybe it is completely
my
sealed,
goodness.
but it's really hard for me to rationalize like that.
Yeah, it's a little extreme for sure. It's right where you like it, I think.
I take it everything that doesn't make sense in 40K is just Imperial propaganda. That's how you rationalize it.
I like it.
Yeah, we posted this picture on our Instagram a couple days ago, and it was one of yours from Terra. But it showed like this beautiful like city and mountain range and like snow-capped like peaks and everything.
Yeah.
And too many people were like, "Wait a minute, isn't Terra like absolutely disgusting?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is just the picture that's shown on literally every other planet about how great Terra is." Yeah. Propaganda from the Imperium. It never leaves.
Yeah, it's a 20,000-year-old picture though. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's nice. I like it. So Krieg, they also have a lot of crazy vehicles that they've come up with. So we're going to talk about some of them. So they got some non-standard vehicles. During the rebellion on Krieg, the increasingly under-equipped militia began to create their own combat vehicles, often variants of civilian vehicles, which are heavily modified. This led to the creation of many unique vehicles, such as the Gotterdammerung, the Blitzen, the Brunenhilden, the Siegfried, and
Brunhild?
the Brunhild,
That's my favorite. The Brunhild.
and the Ragnarok. Yeah. Since the war's conclusion, these vehicles have continued to serve in limited fashion in other conflicts. So let's talk about some of these crazy fucking German-sounding vehicles.
I think it's Guter. That O isn't.
Well, why don't you just say the word
No,
then?
no, I won't.
Yeah. Well, linguist James.
Because
you
that's
know.
a huge word, and I don't. German words are insane.
Yeah.
Guter Damerung? Something
Yeah.
like that.
Gotterdammerung howitzer is an artillery piece. Its simplicity in design allows the Gotterdammerung to be used in prodigious numbers, while the fact that it fires the same shell as the Earthshaker cannon lessens its logistical burden. However, the weapon cannot move under its own power and must be towed by an appropriate vehicle, such as the Brunhild.
Brunhild.
A hard-working Brunhild. One for every Kriegsman.
She's a sturdy woman. With her, like, I imagine she's got, like, golden braids.
That's exactly
braided,
what I picture.
And, like the Princess Leia buns. I'll take you to the front line.
Guter.
Oh my goodness. The
Uh,
Blitzen
Yeah.
is up next. I don't
Go
wanna
for
read
it, James.
Utilizing the same chassis as the Gotterdammerung, made the Blitzen cheap and easy to produce and maintain. The Blitzen is an anti-aircraft gun, and while it can't match the firepower of the Hydra flak tank in terms of sheer firepower, it boasts superior range and can be easily pressed into an anti-tank role. It also cannot move under its own power and must be towed by an appropriate vehicle, such as the Brunhild.
Ooh,
Wow.
nice.
Some would say the backbone
The backbone of
of the tank
Krieg
artillery,
army.
yes,
The
is
Brun-
none other
is-
than the Brunhild.
It's Brunhild herself.
That's right.
She's just lugging around artillery pieces. Yeah, just
right.
moving them from
She's
place.
just pulling them.
Okay.
Which is great because the next vehicle is the Brunhild. So it's an artillery tow piece, a variant of the ubiquitous land crawler and agricultural vehicle. The Brunhild predates the Krieg Civil War and was used as a lightly armored transporter by PDF units of Krieg for several millennia.
That's smaller.
That image is 10 out of 10.
Great, guys. I hope you really enjoy
Yeah,
seeing the picture.
the YouTube is super worth it
It
to
is.
see that image right there.
So although it is armed with a single heavy stubber, the Brunhilde is not a frontline combat vehicle, though it can be pressed into that role as needed. Gang press Brunhilde. That's hard on your soul, you know? Brunhilde, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
How much can we do to her?
How much can we ask?
She gives
Everything.
so much. She gives so much.
She's running around the front line, pulling around pieces of artillery,
Carrying what, 2 squads of guys?
Yeah.
and then she has to run around and be pressed into combat service.
It's nice.
Oh.
The backbone of the Krieg. The Siegfried. The Siegfried was seen as a replacement for the Sentinel, whose locomotive system was too complex and the armoring too light for the dangerous conditions on Krieg at the time. Derived from the Landcrawler, it was armed with a multi-laser and replaced the Landcrawler's simple yet sturdy catalytic engine for a more powerful gas turbine one, which, despite being fit with considerably more armor, doubles the Siegfried's top speed. So they took like an agricultural vehicle, put some guns on it, gave it a better engine, and now you got the Siegfried. It's pretty cool.
Sturdy boy.
Now
City
the
Hall.
Roy.
Yep.
That's the next vehicle.
The Roy.
Yeah, the Siegfried and then the Roy.
Oh my god.
Nope. No? Oh, okay. I got different notes then.
All right, so the last one we have on the list is the Ragnarok. So as the Lehman Russ battle tank became increasingly rare and ill-suited to the sulfurous battlefield, which was no man's land, the Ragnarok was conceived to take its place. A tank that didn't need to be fast as long as it could traverse treacherous terrain, nor one with long range, as visibility beneath the pollution-clouded skies of Krieg was short, but most importantly, as simple to construct as possible. So we're like, doesn't need to be fast. It doesn't need to have crazy firepower. It just needs to be reliable.
Yeah. And be able to go over trenches, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Oh, it says traverse treacherous terrain, but
Oh.
it should have said traverse treacherous
Oh.
terrain.
Oh, I like the dramatic
Thank you.
pause there. That was
The
worth it.
anticipation.
Can I
See
go
what you did
home
there?
now?
You sit here and you contemplate the Brunhilde.
Think of what she's done for you.
Yes.
How much she's
Give thanks
sacrificed.
to the Brunhilde. So I have a little
Those
bit of
guns
a
on the front,
No, they're statues for...
ramming crap.
Yeah.
so these guys are they are
like they took a-
manipulating like regular
Trireme.
sorry.
It's like they took a trireme from Greece and just, that's a great idea. Let's do one of those, but add it to a tank.
Attitude tank. Oh, I like it. It's a weird looking thing. That doesn't look like an official model. That looks like a conversion.
Yeah, the box on top is too boxy.
All right.
So these guys are like changing tanks and doing things that aren't in STCs. Is this a good thing? Are they lauded for the changes they make to these vehicles? Is it seen as tech heresy? Does the Mechanicum okay with them manipulating their precious machines?
Seems like they get away with a lot just because how many people they provide.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like there has to be Mechanicum adepts on Krieg helping them to make these things, or some Forge world has to actually be creating them. But these guys
they
created
were
these.
manufactorum themselves, so they were making.
But they weren't a Forge world.
No, but they're still manufactorum. So.
Yeah, but is it okay to just completely change something?
You know, you're in the middle of a 500-year-long nuclear war. I think you can get away with.
You should have just nuked them again. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems to me like if this was on another planet,
sure,
this might very much be viewed very poorly by the Mechanicum, the Mechanicus.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Krieg I think they do. They just get away with a lot. Yeah.
Well, are they still used today? Did you say?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So those are the vehicles that the Death Korps kind of modified or created themselves, but. The Death Korps has also famously used a number of more exotic vehicles to great effect, so much so that the thought of some of these vehicles are synonymous with the Death Korps of Krieg. Yeah, such as the Hades breaching drill. Like, they didn't come up with it, but when you think that, you think Krieg. So the Hades breaching drill primary mission is to either tunnel below enemy positions or breach fortifications. Its powerful cutting head is equipped with a melta cutter for blasting rocks into liquid slag, and also has 4 large diamantine tipped power cutters to quickly smash and pound rock into rubble, which is then evacuated via conveyor belt through the chassis. Yeah, they're pretty wild.
Yeah, the drills are one of those things that, like, I think they're a cool addition. They're kind of strange in their format for Krieg, but like it's kind of cool that they end up using them. Like, they're not the typical like strategy you'd think of a Krieg, because like going around, just go straight at. But
Well, you just want to be able to get into them as many ways as possible. You know, I'm sure if they could conceivably get like jump packs for all the Kriegs, they'd be like, great, get us that much faster to all our battle lines, right? So
Well, that's one thing I never really understood about the Krieg is it's all kind of based off World War One, but they don't have any flyers either, which I'm surprised they wouldn't have some sort of.
So the Imperial Navy, like, no guard regiment has their own flyers. Like, even Valkyries, they're not actually a part of the guard regiment. I wish I remembered. I wish I remembered the exact branch that deals with flyers. But yeah, so all
it's in the
regiment.
Navy.
Yeah, it's part of the Navy. Aeronautica. I don't remember the branch name, but yeah, no regiment has flyers.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's all a part of the Navy. Typically, engineers will have spent weeks or months digging and sapping a tunnel into position ahead of carefully planned attack. So this is back to the Hades breaching drill. And after they've been secretly moved into place, the Hades will then is then used to quickly smash through the last few yards of rock towards the target. Engineer squads then emerge from the tunnel in its wake, assaulting enemy positions in a surprise assault. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. They only use these for the last like little bit. Other than that, because
it's too much vibrations in the ground if you want to use that for the whole tunnel.
Sure.
So you got to slowly make your way.
Yeah.
So although slow and cumbersome, once on the surface, the Hades drill can still be an improvised weapon and is capable of cutting through just about any material.
People.
Those are the softest of materials. Unless you're talking about Krieg's sealed suits. Those are pretty tough.
Those are good, yeah.
So the materials the Hades drill can get through includes bunkers, defensive buildings, walls, vehicles, or even troops.
My God.
However, the Hades is not really a battlefield weapon, but a piece of engineering equipment. Everything has to be able to go in the battle.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're the poor Kriegsman driving that thing, you're like, well, Where's my opportunity to kill for the emperor or die?
Yeah. He's like, let me go through the troops. I can do it. I swear.
Put me in, coach.
I'm tired of sitting on the lines.
In its past, it has been pressed into service on the surface when attacking heavily fortified positions or fortress walls. But high rates of loss means it is a weapon of last resort and considered poor replacement for the dedicated siege platforms such as Lehman Russ demolishers. Yeah, so sometimes they'll use them to tunnel through walls, but they're really not designed for that. They're made for digging underground.
I imagine they're just too easy of a target, I guess.
Yeah,
Too slow and cumbersome, they said. So
yeah.
Not able to survive under like massive fire or anything.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
So the next one we have is the Gorgon Armored Assault Transport. So it is a heavily armored trench warfare vehicle designed to transport a large number of troops across no man's land. An entire platoon of 50 guardsmen can be crammed into the Gorgon's armored hull, typically prior to the assault from behind enemy lines, and be delivered right onto the enemy's doorstep in relative safety. Gorgons are not routinely assigned frontline duty except for major assaults, and because of their large, cumbersome size, they're almost never fielded on an open battlefield.
They're fucking cool looking, though.
They're a cool model, yeah.
Yeah, the side of it really, like, it really speaks of the other chassis in the, like, the guards lineup, but then for some reason, like, they just completely overhauled the top of it and changed all of it. So
it's cool. I like these like little quad turrets up there. I guess that's only 2, but
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah,
I love that the front loading, like unloading ramp or whatever. Oh, I love Land Raiders as well that have that front piece open.
yeah. They're fucking neat. Oh.
That's what you pay to see. That's what you go to the YouTubes for, right there. See Karen riding the.
Just having a great time.
Okay, up next we got the Centaur. If you want to read
So,
look up the next picture.
The Centaur are typically used to tow field artillery pieces, such as heavy quad launchers and heavy the Brunhilde. What have they done to the Brunhilde?
Well, she's dead now.
No. So they'll tow heavy quad launchers and heavy mortars and provide transport for the weapon's crew. While they have limited armoring, they are not intended to be frontline combat vehicles. However, Centaurs are also provided to grenadiers and command squads as a means of fast battlefield transport.
Command squad.
I don't know what happened there.
It's cool looking though. Man, I love all
It's so short and stubby.
Yeah, it's awesome. Man, all their models are so fucking sweet. That's my story. Thank you for coming.
It's my TED Talk.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Great models.
The thing, building a Krieg army is a expensive endeavor.
I just have so many different ideas of how I'd like to do it. Like, I'd love to do all, like, just Hades breaching drills and engineers, or, like, just weird vehicles that they have. Like, you could build such a cool flavored list. We'll talk about the Malcador's battle tank next. Or
Malcador.
Savior of the Imperium, some would say.
Another badass looking tank.
So it is somewhat larger and heavier than the more familiar and versatile Lehman Russ. The Malcador's bulk and heavy layers of armor plating give it improved durability. Its main armament is the venerable battle cannon, while secondary fire comes from a hull-mounted heavy bolter and sponson-mounted heavy stubbers. One major flaw with the Malcador is that its primary weapon is mounted in a limited traverse turret embrasure.
It's not really a downside. If anything, it just, you know exactly where you need to point your gun, and it's right at the enemy. You don't need to worry about ups and downs or lefts and rights. You just gotta point forward.
Yeah.
Simple. It's
And
a
then-
If
simple
you're
weapon.
not going towards the enemy, you're doing it wrong.
You're doing
so.
it wrong in the first place. So,
And then the hull's shape and armoring further limits the firing arc of its other weapons. Yeah, it's like a forward-facing
yeah.
big boy.
Yeah. It's very cool. Okay,
Big
next
good
one.
boy.
So the last one we're going to talk about are is the Macarius heavy tank. So the Macarius is a heavy tank named after the legendary Lord Commander Solar Macarius and referred to as a second-generation Baneblade, fulfilling the same battlefield role as the Baneblade. There are a few different variants of the Macarius, including the Vanquisher, Vulcan, and Omega, each variant weapons focused on a specific task. Smaller and with fewer weapons, the Macarius cannot hope to match the Baneblade in firepower. Sorry, Josh. Armor, engine performance, or advanced logic engines. It's just all around slightly worse.
Yeah.
But despite these failings, it is still a solid heavy tank, carrying very thick frontal armor, allowing it to survive the most dangerous of assaults.
Yeah.
So it might not be a Baneblade, but you can still shout, "Damn, boy!
Damn, boy!
He's thick!"
Well, I mean, you even look at that thing. The cannon on it is just massive.
It's pretty
It's
big.
cool. This picture right here is so cool how they got the Krieg on the back of the tank there, or that model.
Oh yeah.
Is that just a massive spotlight on the top of it?
Yeah. Or a gas mask, one of the two.
I think it's a spotlight. That's there's lots of. I think one of the things too, like just as a side note to the Krieg, is they did a really good job of giving them nice poses.
Yeah.
Like so, all the models for the Krieg infantry are just. I think one of GW's best job. Or I guess it's Forge World, but it's one of their best efforts at posing infantry.
Yeah.
They're all very dynamic, but also very interesting.
Yeah,
they're crouching sometimes. They're looking around, but I just think it was one of their best efforts in sculpting.
Yeah.
Out of any of them.
It's cool too. They designed 3 squads. They designed like a standing, like one at attention. Then they designed one that was advancing, and then the one that's firing.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. So you can you could do one squad all the same or mix and match, but they end up looking really nice together.
And you can also like do a parade army if you really wanted.
yeah,
with
of
the
all just
attention.
like attention people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool.
They just I love it. I
Yeah.
think that there's pretty much nothing that has come close. Even though the Primaris sculpts are really nice, they just don't have the dynamic, I guess, or the
Yeah,
And
I
just
think
the-
that a dynamic is a good way to put it. Just the fact that there's that massive range of level of what's in the models itself.
yeah,
right?
and,
So-
and just it's more just that the poses feel. I don't know. There's something gritty about them that
Sure.
they feel really good.
Yeah, and even the way people paint it on the terms of that gritty, they paint like they tend to look better in like a realistic style painting.
so
yeah,
covered in mud. And,
Exactly.
yeah.
Where like Space Marines, I think I kind of like them where they're like
pristine.
bright and popping, and
Yeah.
like even if they're weathered, they're still like Imperial Fist yellow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just bold colors and,
Yeah.
and they're very pretty almost.
Yeah.
Too pretty, even.
Too pretty for battle.
That's right.
That's something you'd never say about a Kriegsman.
Oh. You'd be like, "You're too ugly to live. Get in there."
Get in the fight, you salty sea dog.
Yeah. Like look at this squad right here.
Yeah.
Like they're all just standing there, kind of looking around casually.
Yeah, just ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next one, that your cursor's on right now, they're all in like gun ready positions, and
Yeah.
mixing those up between all your squads would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I loved doing the bases for them, because it was so cool. Because you could have like one of them's hiding behind a brick wall
Yeah.
for my guys, and it's one's shooting through a broken wall, and there's so much stuff you can do,
Yeah.
and it's so great.
They're crazy. Man, I think everyone at one point's like, "Oh, I wish I had a Death Korps," and then you look at the price tag.
And then
The
you're
price
like,
is
"Oh,
so
I take it back."
prohibitive
It
of
is,
it,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Just the fact that it's from Forge World.
Well, not only that, but I think even for Forge World, the Krieger a steep cost. For like
and
an
when you're
infantry
talking
squad.
like Imperial Guardsmen, you're paying like I don't know, $100 for 50 points probably.
Yeah.
Like, you have to buy so much.
much. And the thing too about Krieg is like, even if it's not gonna win you a lot of games, you want to go infantry heavy. It's
Yeah.
just because that's
Yeah.
the aesthetic. Is
The tank is way
masses-
cheaper, but it doesn't look nearly as cool as just
No.
having lines of Kriegs
Yeah,
willing to
because
die.
you could be any
Yeah.
guard unit. You might as well do Cadians if you're gonna do all tanks.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But when you're doing the Krieg, I want 100 guardsmen on the field and them to just get mowed down because that's just
Yeah.
it feels right
Yeah, they're
does.
one of those armies that you win when you lose. Even they're
Yeah,
nice
it-
like
it-
that, just
it-
like orcs, where it's like, well, okay, well, it's still a fun fight.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure everyone has had that moment where like, man, I want to do a Krieg army.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah, for real. And I think as much as I like Cadians and stuff, they're cool, but I really hope that Krieg get more and more prominent in the lore, and like they change from like Cadians being the standard to maybe Krieg being the standard, kind of grimdark kind of 40k that gets people in.
Well, I think there's
Or if
even
you even go up
there's an easy out for
a little bit
them
more.
on that too.
Up to the Earthshaker. Those things are my
Oh.
favorite.
Yeah,
I
that's
love those.
they just look like classic
artilleries.
Napoleonic cannons, even
Fucking delightful.
Civil War cannons.
Yeah, like a mortar or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if Games Workshop ever wanted to turn Krieg into like their poster boys
Yeah.
instead of
for the
Cadia,
guard.
like even lorically, it's not that big of a stretch. Like the fact that they give 50 million guardsmen every year.
That seems like
Like,
a lot.
So I don't know
And they're
exactly what year it is right now, but it's been at least like 200 years.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Kriegsmen that have been flooding the galaxy,
Yeah.
right? So they've probably been seen in a good number of places and battlefronts in the
Well,
galaxy.
it makes more sense that they would be everywhere than the Cadians.
Well, the Cadians just had such massive numbers,
Yeah, but
and they were
also,
right on the
yes,
gate.
They're
right?
fighting at the gate more though. Like
Yeah.
whereas there's nothing attacking Krieg. So
Yeah.
they can be anywhere. I don't know. I would love that. I don't think it'll happen,
Oh,
Well, like,
me
so-
neither.
but
So,
it would be cool.
Isn't Forge World like now releasing or no longer releasing their own books? Aren't they putting it
Yeah.
into
Games Workshop is taking over like Forge World codices.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure, I mean, I don't fully know, but I haven't heard anything that said Games Workshop is going to be releasing
Plastic
these
kits,
models.
obviously, yeah.
It's still
No.
by Forge World, which means
Yeah.
the pricing is going to be the exact same.
Yeah.
But even so, it'd still be nice to have more stuff from them. Just even more infantry and stuff like that. It'd just be
Obviously, yeah. We all want more things for our armies.
Except
Even
for-
me.
Touche,
You know
touche.
what? I think that
I
there's
don't
not
know.
enough Necron releases that I've seen recently.
How are you feeling over there
so-
with all the Primaris races? Do you need more?
It's getting tough. Like I see the releases. Oh my god, I haven't even finished Indomitus yet, and I still have. And now there's like 5 new things I need to get. Ugh.
Josh would love that problem, okay?
Woody,
Yes.
do you want to spend another $600 on Kriegs
Yes.
to get another 5 models?
Yes.
Yeah, that's tough for Krieg, I think.
I think they are low. If it wasn't for the costume, they would be almost everyone's favorite guard unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, that kind of covers the Death Korps.
Yeah. They're awesome. What's your guys' favorite thing about them? I can start if no one else has something.
Go for it.
I really like their trench warfare, like the digging underneath, doing like tunnels and bursting out. I really like that aspect of it. You don't really see it that often. So if I was to do an army, that's definitely what it'd be, a bunch of just combat engineers and those drills.
I'm all about those horses.
The horses
Death
are also
Riders.
so- yeah, it's crazy. I've been on like Google Images just looking at images, and some of the people have like hundreds of horses.
There's $10,000 right there.
Honestly, you just look at the picture, you're like, whoa.
Well, people love them.
But,
Like I said, if you take the plunge on Death Korps, it's like, but yeah, if I were to do it, I'd like just a massive horse army and infantry, just horses and infantry, no tanks. Get that out of there.
Yeah.
Get that out of there.
But even their Gleeman Russ, I love the aesthetic of like the Vanquisher cannon. That thing looks so beautiful.
Is the Vanquisher, is that like the
That's
really
a long one,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, it's good for sure. Yeah, like your Krieg, you'd kind of do a little bit of everything, eh?
$33 for a single model.
Single horse.
Yeah, and you feel like how many of them when you actually fight with them. It's
I don't think you can even buy them in groups.
No, you can't. Yeah.
you can.
Price
Like,
tag.
go down there.
Oh my!
Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is.
For $470 Canadian, you will get
1, 2, 3, 4,
15,
5, 6,
maybe
7, 8,
20, 15, 30.
16? I don't know. Something like that. 15 for
Only-
$500. That's not good.
And points wise, that's probably not a lot of points right there.
No.
Oh, that's probably maybe 150 points.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's
My God.
rough.
How is that? That's crazy. Okay.
It's okay. Everything's out of stock anyway, so.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think my favorite thing about Krieg is they're too indoctrinated to realize what they're doing isn't good.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, they can be like a detriment on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think like that dedication and like that full like dive into
Yeah.
craziness is what I really like about the Krieg.
Yeah, it's nice for sure.
Yeah, it's just like anyone else can rationally look at this and be like, you know what, I'm not going to charge that
Even other
tyrannid.
commissars.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
When a commissar tells you like, whoa, rein it in. That's
That's how you know you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Well, I was, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was playing my brother once. I was doing Krieg, and I think he was doing Space Marines, and I was getting just mowed down with my troops.
Oh, even with your loaded dice?
Whoa, shots fired.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But I wanted to pull back because everything in me was like, okay, retreat and try and regroup, do something. But
Yeah.
he was like, you're Krieg, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
Frick! Can't give up an inch of ground. If you took that, it's yours.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that that culture of them. And you do like when you play with them, you want to put your guys right up there, you know? It's just like you adopt a little bit of that mentality of like, get my guys on the front line, get those shovels out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That comes with a vehicle though, in all fairness. A vehicle that might be like $90.
Yeah. They're sweet. They're fucking
It's
sweet.
It's still expensive, James. Don't get me wrong.
Well, I feel bad for anyone who wants to like
Yeah.
legitimately build
Yeah.
out a full.
Well, that's why you go to recasters. Yeah.
No.
You do illegal
No.
activities. You make your own. You print your
Lorehammer
own.
does not advocate.
No, Lorehammer
for-
does not, but Mark as a person does,
Yeah,
which
but
they are separate entities. so,
absolutely.
yeah.
Bring your lawsuits to.
Yeah, you definitely want to use Forga World for sure. Yeah. Okay, I think that's
say goodbye to
all
those
I have to say.
those sponsorships.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's
I'm
a
trying to
huge
get that
errat
Forga
here,
World
right?
sponsorship. What has GW ever done for me? You know?
Created a platform for you to have this podcast.
Well, minor detail, I guess.
Minor Yeah, so that's the Death Korps.
They're sweet. I like them.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. I learned a decent amount. Everyone knows like the memes
Sure,
about
sure,
everything.
Sure.
You know, and I feel like it's kind of stupid, but that's me a lot of times too. Like I'm way more familiar with how people meme about some faction or army way more than I actually know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to just like dive right in, do
Yeah.
some digging, and sort through the reality of it.
Yeah. Yeah, like one of the things I learned for sure was just, they're so new in the galaxy. Like they've only been around for maybe a couple hundred years, like as their current kind of rendition of it. I learned that.
But they're still so prevalent with what they've done. too.
Yeah.
They're new, but
Yeah.
they're like
When you
they've
have
left
so
a
many
mark.
people, yeah.
Yeah, it goes back to the fact that they give so many bodies that they're able to be in so many places.
And they fit the like aesthetic of the Imperium a lot, like almost to a T.
Oh yeah, like look at those guys. Like they're fucking grimdark as shit.
Yeah, it's nice that they don't look feudal.
Yeah.
Like they have that weird like coat and the gas mask, which makes them, to me, it just makes them look dirty, but it doesn't make them look like lesser technology.
Yeah.
You know, like some of the guards regiments you see and you're like,
Sure.
how could you possibly fight against the Eldar?
Yeah,
How could
yeah.
you possibly fight against the Necron? You know, whereas these guys, they have the same technologies and they look like they belong in that level.
Yeah.
But they still look really dirty and grungy.
Yeah.
which I think is really nice.
Yeah. Another really cool thing too when going over the notes is so Forge World, they kind of took the Death Korps under their wing, and Forge World does like a really good job of describing like minute details. Like we know exactly how long their combat blades are, or their
we know
bayonets.
how much all their vehicles weigh and their top speeds, and like their engine capacities. And
Even just we went over like their piece of their gas mask, and it has 3 parts, and we went into all the parts. Like there's so much information like on how stuff actually works, and you really don't see a lot of that from like GW main. So it's kind of cool seeing it from kind of knowing the nitty-gritty details of it all.
It's nice because everything that we've seen with the Death Korps is very much grounded in reality.
Sure, that's cool too.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it is, even though it might be like a really powerful respirator unit, it's still just a respirator unit, you know? Like the whole chemical treatment of cloth to like seal, like we have things that do similar things, right? So it's not like they're trying to explain how the anti-grav on an impulsor works, or the void shields, you know? So that is really cool, is that you can really feel like you are a part of it, because everything you can kind of like see in our own reality. So
Well, I think partially, I could be wrong, but I think partially that is
You are.
because...
Oh.
Well, thank you. I'll just shut up then. But no, partially it's because it's based off German World War One.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
that was real, and so if you can...
was it?
I think so. There is theories.
I wasn't
I'm a
there.
conspiracy theorist. So
I wasn't
like,
there.
But
Didn't see with my eyes.
right.
Pixar didn't happen.
And even sometimes those pics are fake.
Black and
So,
white photos don't count.
Yeah.
So I
They're
get in
not
trouble
real.
for talking about Forga World, but you
Yeah.
can be a full-on World War I denier, and that's fine. Eh?
I never said that. I'm just questioning it. I think
you have to question.
I'm just asking
You have
question
to.
everything. You know,
That's
assume nothing.
Okay.
But like, it's based off a real thing. So if you have,
You have good source materials.
Yeah.
essentially the thing,
Yeah, and a lot of it, like as soon as you picture Germans from World War One, like you can picture that, and then you can instantly translate it onto this. So it's nice. I like it. I like it all.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, before we actually say goodbye, we want to take a moment to thank our newest contributors of the Imperial Tithe.
Oh, the Patreon members. My goodness, you guys are awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going to run down the list, and, when you hear your name, give yourself a little pat on the back for contributing to our show. So thank you to Ryan, Joni, Soy Canadies, Michael, Nathan, Louis, David, Chris, KJ, Senmauto, Chris, Slovak Minis, Alan, Paul, Mad March Bear, Matthew, Larry, Waylon, Squirrel.
Squirrel. Look at the little squirrel.
Big Money, Dale, The Real Fuzzy Lumpkin, Glace 105, Bryce, Dagon, Robert, David, Salty Beef Daddy, and Connor.
Oh, that's nice. Oh,
Thank you so much to
Yeah.
everyone who contributes. It's awesome. It's really encouraging for us to see people actually give us money. So
yeah. Oh, money is very encouraging.
yeah, I don't know. You talk where you put your money, where your wallet, where you put your.
No. You
grab
put your
the-
money
put
in
the-
my wallet. That's
put
the saying.
Yeah. I don't know. Words.
Yeah, and once again, we are going Spotify exclusive on October 21st. So if you look for us and you can't find us, we're going to only be on Spotify. So
Download
make
the
sure-
app, follow us on there, because
Download
then
the free app.
Yeah.
It's free. So
You'll-
please come join us.
if you follow us, you'll get updates when we release new episodes, and you can create playlists and automatically down them.
Oof.
So
Man,
yeah, it's nice.
Spotify's not paying me to say their Spotify radio thing. I freaking love it. So basically, you find a song you like, then they have a button called Spotify Radio, and it just matches you with a bunch of other or a bunch of other music that sounds like it. It's amazing. I love it. I just listen to that all day now.
It's
and
nice.
find so much nice music. So even if you're not coming for us, which you should, go get Spotify anyways, because I love music now. I love
He didn't before.
He hated it with a passion.
Well, no, I couldn't be bothered to go out of my way to try to find new music, and now I have to try to find this. But Spotify Radio, it's great. You find one song, now you have 1,000. It's perfect. So go check out Spotify, subscribe us on there, or what do they call it? What's the official?
Follow. You follow podcasts. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Cool.
I like it.
Well, thanks, Josh, for joining us.
No
I
problem.
hope you had fun.
It was fun. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Got to
Learned
learn a little bit, too.
Learned a little bit.
Yeah.
Good. Cool. Thank you, James. As always.
It's always a
A
pleasure.
We
pleasure.
appreciate you doing those tests in your basement to figure out how
Yeah.
gas masks work.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make
We
for this
appreciate
podcast.
it. We
you know?
never did determine, though.
I hope they cure cancer before I die from it.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
Is the gas mask reliable enough to survive in a tournament setting with the smells and the odors?
Well, I'll wear it next time we play a game. I'll wear a gas mask the whole time.
And see if it can help kind of...
Yeah, if it gets me more in the...
That's gonna freak me the fuck out just to have you staring across the table with a gas mask on. I'm not gonna enjoy that. I
Set
think.
up
No one
some
does.
glow so the goggles.
Ooh, yeah. But are your lenses rubbed with anti-fogging
I have the
coating?
windshield
You have the windshield. Okay, perfect. Yeah. I will expect to see that, just like one at a time. Anyways, thanks for listening to the show, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
And cut.